Assalamualaikum and good day to our panelists, Dr. Hairun and Dr. Hafiz. The title of our research is a study of youth post-COVID-19 push and pull factors for domestic tourism in Malaysia. Before we start, I will introduce my team research and myself. So my name is Siti Syafiqah binti Adi.
My name is Nur Adila binti Jailani.
My name is Emi Suraya binti Zainal Amri.
My name is Nurul Amira binti Nur Rahim.
The aim of this study is to explore what are the push and pull factors that would encourage youth Malaysians, especially those who are normally used to travelling outbound, shift their intention to domestic holidays. For the issue, the airlines already banned the travel schedule of international countries also facing the financial crisis, as mentioned by Yusuf A 2020. Second, many travel agencies are under pressure from debt, old salary, tour guide fees, commission, credit card arrears, tour bus loans, hotels and restaurants, according to the Liaison 2020. And lastly, all activities of tourism licensing are remain frozen by Rahim 2020. For the research objective, the aim of this study is to investigate what are the Malaysian youth post-COVID-19 pull and push factor in choosing domestic destination. The objective as follows. First, to investigate Malaysian youth post-COVID-19 pull factor in choosing domestic attraction. Second, to investigate Malaysian youth post-COVID-19 push factor in choosing domestic attraction. And the third is to identify the most popular domestic destination preferred by the Malaysian youth.
Next, Chapter 2, Literature Review. In this chapter, all the information from the major literature sources about COVID-19 pandemic, post-pandemic travel, youth in tourism, push and pull motivation theory, and domestic tourism in Malaysia used in this study will be introduced. Firstly, COVID-19 pandemic. Coronavirus have been identified in Wuhan, China on December 2019. And the first 4 cases reported, all linked to Huanan, southern China seafood wholesale market. According to Guterres et al. 2020, the COVID-19 has spread around the world and been stated a pandemic by the World Health Organization. The coronavirus outbreaks continue to spread around Asian countries due to its close trade ties, including Malaysia, that could feel the spillover effects of the virus. COVID-19 impact on tourism. According to Fernandez 2020, the problems of COVID-19 outbreak are particularly bad in hospitality-related sectors, including the global travel industry from airlines to cruise companies and from casinos to hotels that facing reduction of activity of more than 19%. Apart of that, governments also have closed borders and they announce travel restriction and quarantine, so many companies are cancelling travel and meetings. In Malaysia, the coronavirus impact on tourism industry will depend on how coronavirus spreads in Singapore than in China, because tourists to Malaysia are the highest from Singapore at approximately 99%, whereas those from China are at a lower 12% due to 2020. For tourists, they will not visit or repeat visitation to the destination where they do not feel safe, and tourists are seeking destinations where risk to safety is perceived to be minimal. Fowler et al. 2012.
Next, the literature review is post-pandemic travel and future travel. According to IATA's Director General SEO, Alexandre de Gignac 2020, the safety of passengers and crew is paramount. The aviation industry is working with governments to restart flying when this can be done safely. Evidence suggests that the risk of transmission on board aircraft is low, and IATA will take measures such as the wearing of face coverings by passengers and masks by crew to add extra layers of protection. Besides, the other literature review is used in tourism. According to Institute for Youth Research Malaysia 2018, Malaysian youth dominates more than 50% of travelers, with a population is about 9.1 million. So it is believed that youth market is experiencing a steady growth. The increasing numbers indicated that youth tourists in Malaysia are now more adventurous and will travel more frequently in the future. The other literature review is push and pull motivation theory. According to Zhang et al. 2009, the push and pull framework is significant in understanding travel behavior and explaining reasons behind the decision. Pull factors are observed to be the destination-associated attributes that makes a tourist prefer a particular destination after the decision to travel has been taken by Banya and Powdell 2016. Pull factors, on the other hand, are those attributes that attract tourists to a specific destination once the decision to travel has been reached by Banya and Powdell 2016. Lastly, the literature review is domestic tourism in Malaysia. Malaysia will attempt to revive its tourism industry by focusing on domestic tourism as well as marketing the country as a safe holiday destination by Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister 2020. About 84.2% also believe that COVID-19 has changed their attitude toward traveling, and 71.3% choose Malaysia as their holiday destination compared to abroad.
In this section, we will talk about research design, population and sampling, instrumentation, and also data collection.
This research is a quantitative and descriptive study, so we will be using cross-sectional method for our research. As for the population and sampling, our target population is used in Malaysia. In this research, simple random sampling will be applied, and to determine the number of sample size, we will using the table of Craigie and Morgan, and the appropriate number of sample size for this research is 384 respondents. In order to get a complete data for our research, we are using the Google form to distribute our questionnaire to the respondent. And for the questionnaire, the type of scale is 5-point Likert scale. This table is about demographic characteristic of study respondent. Based on the table on the left, we find out that most of the respondent is a female. For their occupation, most of them is a student and their income is below 1,500 ringgit Malaysia.
In order to respond to our research objective, which aims to identify domestic destination preferred by Malaysian youth, the survey inquiring the trips that they most likely plan to popular mass travel destination. Majority of the youth traveler, 32% of them, which equal to 123 respondents, are most likely plan to visit Langkawi instead of another destination, especially after post-COVID-19. This table is about to describe the mean score for push factor towards intention to visit domestic destination. As a result, it can be observed that the respondents will almost agree and strongly agree on the item used, except the item labeled as after MCO, I am confident using land public transportation for my holiday, and after MCO, I am confident using airlines for my holiday, which records average of 3.182 and 3.299 respectively. This indicated that the items are natural in the level of agreement. It shows that the post-COVID-19 has greatly affected on these two items for Malaysian youth push factor towards intention to visit domestic destination. As for this table, it is about the mean score for pull factors toward intention to visit domestic destination. According to the result, it indicates that the respondents show a high level of agreement towards all items in the pull factors. An item labeled as "When I travel next," social distancing, having ample space, avoiding a crowded place or high touch area will be important. This is record the highest mean score, which is 4.442, and for the item labeled as "When will you travel again?" As soon as possible after lockdown is lifted and I can travel domestically or internationally, recorded the lowest mean score, which is 3.531. For the third table, it is about the mean score for intention to visit domestic destination, and it is a dependent variable in the study. According to the result, an item labeled as "After MCO, I prefer travel domestically than overseas," recorded as the higher mean score, which is 4.041, than the item labeled as "After MCO, I believe traveling within Malaysia is safe," with mean score of 3.734. However, both of them show a high level of agreement toward intention to visit domestic destination after COVID-19. This test is to respond to research objective which aims to investigate Malaysian youth post-COVID-19 push and pull factors in choosing domestic destination. The pull factors recorded higher average mean value, which is 4.056, than push factor average mean value 3.882. In addition, both of the independent variables show that range of the mean score is agree in the level of agreement. Since pull factor has the highest mean compared to push factors, is indicated that Malaysian youth pull factors is the most important and influence in choosing domestic destination. There are two implications of the study, which is academic and practical. For academic, teaching materials for the student also as a research literature. Second, it is contribute of providing the new data and more understanding. Third, it will gain internet skill and also influence positively through the academic. For the practical, Tourism Malaysia and NTO that is responsible for creating awareness and promoting local travel packages. Second, travelers also will tend to visit the country that is safe from this critical situation. And the third, organization implement various kind of monitoring at the entry points and deal with this future impact.
Next, limitation of the study. Time constraints. Due to time constraints, this study only provides general highlights on post-pandemic COVID-19 tourism. For sampling was a major limitation of this study as questionnaires were randomly shared via online platform. The control of respondents is required in order to collect more accurate data. For references, as the phenomenon being studied is ongoing, most of the references come from the mass media and not from scientific articles published in journals, because there are not yet a significant number of papers about the impact of coronavirus on global tourism.
Next, for future research, this study suggests to do push and pull factor for family travel, elderly travel, and business travel. This group can also increase the number of tourists at domestic destinations. From the push and pull factor, the researcher will know which factor that influence the group to come to domestic destination.
In a nutshell, almost all the items in questionnaires about push and pull factors, as well as intention to visit domestic attraction, agree by the respondents. Majority of the respondents believe that COVID-19 has impacted their motivation towards traveling. Plus, majority respondents prefer to travel domestically than overseas. To ensure the survivability of the tourism industry post-COVID-19, it is imperative that proper strategies are in place. And one of the strategies is to focus domestic and youth market for quick conversions.
That's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.